It's spinning on my end. You'll find out when it records. And we wait. Unless it's not waiting on your end.
It's good on my end.
Is it saying recording?
Yep.
It's up in the left-hand corner, red record.
Perfect. Yep. It's now saying recording on my end. So I want to welcome you back to the Principals Podcast. In this trifecta here, we have Mr. Hyam, who's always on the show. We are co-hosts. Mr. Bandera will be joining us in a few minutes. And there he is.
There he is.
Did I miss the party? You missed nothing. You just hit record. So this is extraordinary. Our special guest, and because of the setting of Google Meet, you haven't heard him speak yet, but I want to tell you that we have a alumni. This is an alumni corner, and we have one of our favorite students of all time, Connor Prusha, joining us today. So Connor, why don't you say hello so everyone can see your face?
Hi, everybody. It's good to kind of see you all, maybe virtually, or you'll hear me. But I'm thankful to Mr. Murray and Mr. Hyam, Mr. Bandera for inviting me. I'm glad to be here. So.
It is extraordinary that you're back, and you were an absolute. I mean, your voice, whenever it was either talking or singing or leading, extraordinary. Your version of that African song that you sang that was comparable to like the Our Father that you sang is gorgeous. To the musicals you were in, we miss you, and tell everyone out there what you've been up to.
Well, I missed all of you too. High school was a fun time, and we certainly had a good ride together. But since graduation, I've been at Baldwin-Wallace University, kind of jumped around for a little bit. Major-wise, I started in music education, found out that wasn't quite the right fit. As some of you may know, my overall goal has been to be an ordained elder in the United Methodist Church for quite a long time, since I was about 13. So I figured a religion major might be best. That didn't pan out. So I'm a communication major right now, and I've really jumped into a lot of quantitative and qualitative work, doing ethnography. Right now I'm doing a study on health communication between cancer patients and their caregivers, how we might help to improve the relationships and help a company create modules for people to resource and find better ways to connect. But I'm also a music and religion minor, so still doing keeping in touch with what I want to do in the future, and then also keeping in touch with my musical roots. I've been involved with our Motet choir. We were, before COVID hit, we were getting ready to sing Bach's St. Matthew Passion, which is about a 3-hour performance. Gorgeous music, would recommend listening to any of Bach's work. But I've kept busy. I'm a member of the Student Supreme Court. I'm actually the Chief Justice at BW, doing a lot of charter reviews for student organizations, doing programming. I'm a member of Pi Lambda Phi fraternity. Our commitment is to being a non-sectarian fraternity, allowing people in regardless of religion or race, whatever it may be, committed to promoting equality. And that's been a really big influence in my college career so far. But BW is a great school. I've enjoyed my ride, and I'm actually graduating a year early. So I'll be graduating in May of this year. So I'm excited to head to grad school after that and keep the ride going. So.
And when do you sleep?
Good question. This semester has certainly been much less, as my final semester senioritis sometimes sets in. I'm sure you all know, and I'm sure you're seeing seniors at high school. It's setting in for them too. But I do pretty well with my sleep and managing time. It's something you learn. And as any students listening, it may seem like it's difficult to learn, and it is. But you'll get there, and you'll learn to work around things and make things work out for yourself.
Hey, Connor, which school might be so lucky to have you for graduate school? Have you made a decision yet?
So I'm kind of between a few. I decided I want to get my master's of public administration before I head to seminary. And it's looking like Bowling Green might be a good option. That would give me a really good nonprofit background before I enter a ministry setting, which is going to be just a great skill set to have as I go into whether it's a local church or more of the hierarchy of the church, whether it's at a state or even an international level. So it's looking like Bowling Green's probably my best option right now.
Before we began, Mr. Bandera, we were talking about how extraordinary his chair is and how appropriate during a pandemic that he has such a comfortable chair. How has college been with the online modules? I mean, have you some in person and some virtual? Like, what has it been like for you?
So I have been all online since obviously March, like most of us have been. It's a really interesting story. I was at an international meeting with people from all over the world, from the Philippines and Europe and all of that, literally right as they announced that we would have an extended spring break. So I was meeting with people, and that change has been really interesting. But I've been online. I chose to be online this past semester and this current semester because both my grandma and my mom have pre-existing conditions that make them very susceptible to COVID. And I help a lot around the house, especially with my grandma. So I chose to stay home. It also let me save some money. I consider myself a very flexible student. So I've been able to kind of adapt well, keep up with my work while also helping around the house, helping with grocery shopping, doing all that those kinds of things. It's been a sacrifice to not be on campus with my friends, to not be able to hang out at all, but it's worthwhile to keep my family safe. So I've been online. BW went back in person, kind of a hybrid model starting in the fall. We only have 3,600 undergraduate students. So we're kind of in a better situation than maybe an Ohio State or a Kent State might be when it comes to class sizes. So they can distance and mask and do what they need to. But BW has been really good at investing in technology to make sure if you're all online, you might still be able to join a class where they're in person as well. So they've adapted pretty well.
Connor, you were being busy is nothing new for you, obviously. I mean, you were busy all throughout high school and things like that too. Lots different. I know lots of the church and also the lots of school things as well. What do you think from a Chardon High School standpoint? Because we're selfish and we're talking about Chardon. What do you think was the biggest thing that helped prepare you for college here at Chardon High School or here in the community of Chardon, or in that sense?
That's a really good question. I mean, let's look at it academically. I mean, Chardon has one of the best academic programs in our area and in the state of Ohio. I mean, we are blessed with great administrators right here and fantastic teachers who pour their hearts and their every ounce of energy into their students to make sure that they are successful and ready to take on the world once they leave. So I was always thankful for that. Especially I took a lot of AP classes. I never did anything like CCP, but I entered in, and like I said, I'm graduating a year early because of that, because of the success that I was set up for. I guess the number of clubs and opportunities that Chardon offers, whether it be drama or band or choir, student council, Interact, and then me and my friends started our Model UN Club, and I hear it's still going pretty strong, which is good to hear. So we were able to kind of expand that, and that was such an important part, as you said, Mr. Bandera, of my high school experience, being able to be involved in this smattering of different things, but never feeling pressure to focus on one thing or say, you have to do this. I think there's that stereotypical high school model of, the football guys can't be in the plays or the musicals. And we found out with my class and the class above me that is absolutely not true. People are talented in so many different ways. I guess that freedom to be creative and to find ourselves and to be supported in that's really what set me up for success, because that's really what your college career is about, is trying new things. People get too worried about getting judged for saying, well, if I do that, my friends are going to think I'm weird. Nobody cares at college. Nobody cares what you're doing. You do you. It doesn't matter. It's not a competition. You don't know what the other person's grade is in the class. You don't have to worry about winning anything out. It's all about you and finding out what you can do for yourself to be successful, and finding out where you belong. You will always find people. And I learned that at Chardon, that you don't have to worry about really pleasing everyone. You don't have to worry about trying so hard and working yourself until you're sick. You need to find the place that's right for you. And I always felt supported in that at Chardon. So
Excellent.
I have a question for you. You're very balanced. You've already talked about how you have a major and minors, and those minors really help your mental health for your major.
Yeah.
And also, we all, I mean, in the past, we could just all sit in a room and just have this conversation without a mask and embrace each other. How are you doing with that? And what advice, even like, how are you with that? And what advice do you have for like kids your age on how they can manage that balance for health?
Yeah. Like you said, it really is helpful, because if I was focusing on quantitative research for 12 credit hours, I would be going absolutely insane. It just would not be all that fun. So mixing in with those classes, whether it's focusing on like contemplative spirituality and learning all of these things with all of these people of different faith backgrounds and persuasions, talking about their experiences of the reading. I've taken a French class at BW, learning about conversational French, which again, I was set up for success at Chardon by Madame Dalton. It's building off of those experiences. Like you said, it really does help with mental health. Finding that balance can be tricky. Sometimes I know for me, switching from a music major to something else, I found that when I tried to do something that I really was passionate and loved, and I tried to do it as potentially a job, it kind of took away that niche aspect of it for me. And that's not true for everyone. But everyone kind of has to evaluate their situation independently and say, what's something that I could mix in here to keep me stable, to keep me steady? Like I said, for me, it's religion and music, two things that are incredibly important to me. Obviously, I'm majoring in something that's very fascinating to me. It may not be potentially the most important thing in my life or the thing that gives me the most enjoyment, but it's going to set me up for a very successful career in what I want to do. I don't know if it's kind of hard to answer that question with finding balance. It's really about finding what do you really enjoy, because there are so many different offerings, and it really depends on the school. Even if you're not in an academic setting, say you went straight from high school to working, finding those community affiliations, always finding time to volunteer. Those things really help to ground you and stabilize you and open your eyes to better understand not only yourself, but others. And it's all about constantly progressing and constantly growing your mind. So that's how I keep myself stable, is finding new opportunities to learn about things that are interesting to me, things that I think I might already have a good grasp on, but constantly expanding that, saying there's always more to learn. So that's kind of how I keep myself stable, having that growth mindset. So
kind of your college career is unique compared to what, the three of us kind of experienced. Do you find that you're more connected with your classmates because of maybe the online piece, or have you found that it's a little more difficult maybe because of all the challenges you guys are facing?
I would say connection is a lot more difficult, especially, like I said, with some people being in class and some being fully online. I can connect a little more with people who are fully online with me, but those in class really don't get to see us, let alone really hear us. So that makes it difficult. It's been good for like chapter meetings for my fraternity or other club organizations. When you're all online, it kind of levels the playing field and you can see everyone and interact. But I would say it's more difficult to create that really intentional connection, which is like a main reason I went to BW, because of the small class sizes and the dedicated faculty. So it's been a change, but I'm adapting to it. So I think most people are.
You still hang out with some of the high school crew when you at all? Can you see them at all?
We hung out a little bit over the summer. and had a few kind of get-togethers in as safe of a manner as we possibly could have it. But since COVID cases kind of rose in the fall, I was really careful, not going out very much, not seeing really anybody. But I was able to kind of get on Zoom and have some interactions with them, whether it was playing like a Jackbox game or really just talking, whatever it might be. One of my biggest connections has been the a cappella group, the Wanderers, that we made in high school. We still get together. We didn't get to sing this year, but we still have group chats. We still talk all the time, still check in with each other. So still sometimes see the Free Harmony people. We still have an old group chat that we talk in. So even if it hasn't been like in-person connection, being able to see them, we've been able to at least keep in touch, which has been really good.
Connor, if you had to pick one, what would be one of your favorite high school memory?
Oh, my favorite high school memory? Oh, man. That's hard. I think the choir trip to New York, Mr. Bandera, I think that was your first year at Chardon? And
yes,
you jumped in and you just went for it with a bunch of crazy freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors running around New York City. And we had a lot of fun in a safe way. Don't worry, anybody. But some of the things that we were able to see and to experience, and to have you along, and just to see you kind of connect with us, even as a new assistant principal, was really, really cool to have that connection. So that's probably that. And then also performing in Les Mis was probably one of my absolute favorite moments. That was a cool production. So,
Connor, how often do you bring up stories from Chardon or experiences from Chardon in your college classes or experiences? Does it come up, or is it just somebody kind of who you are and it comes out in things you do?
I think it more comes out in things I do, not necessarily explicitly, but the values that I learned while I was a student at Chardon High School have certainly been instilled and have shaped my character and have shaped my values and how I live them out. Had I been a very different person or grown up in a different area, I might not have been as intentional with leadership experiences. I might not have been as intentional with pursuing clubs that match my values of inclusivity and making sure that all people are cared for, that compassion is given in all instances. It's all about those core values, and those were a thing that came about while I was still a student, and those have been incredibly helpful. Brownie points for me, Mr. Murray, right? But no, those really are. I know sometimes people can say that anything can get cliche, but they're so true, and they continue to guide me. I may not think of that acronym 100% of the time, but it's still implicit in who I am. I was thinking today, as I was getting ready for this, there may be things that happen in a small town like Chardon that I really disagree with as I've become a different person and been molded. But that difference of opinion and that frustration I might feel really comes from a place of love and passion, because I care so much about this community and what it's given to me. So, I mean, that's why it's our first value. Community is so important, and I think that's one of the values that I most appreciate about Chardon, is how interconnected we are. So that's been a big driving force for me.
I love it. I think we have a marketing manager here in kind of Prusha. We don't even really have to sell our school because anyone can come to our school if they live in this area. This week is challenging for everyone in this community. And it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, because how much love and compassion we have for the teachers, the graduates, the students, our families, and those that have been directly impacted. All those teachers out there that are listening, they love hearing from students. What could you share to them as a graduate about just how much you care about them this week?
I don't think words could describe how much I care for the people who have molded me into the person I am, and how much love and compassion I have for them. I think of people like Mr. Strife, Miss Lickler, Madame Dalton, Mr. Cole, Mrs. Tasnick, and multitudes of other people who have given me the courage, who have given me the strength, who have always pushed me to be a better person. What I would say to you is that your words matter, and your words stick with kids. And when you are encouraging and you are loving towards them, and you show them compassion, and you're willing to say, rather than say, hey, you didn't turn that in, you fail, I don't care what, I don't care what the reasons were. Every single person has always taken time to get to know me, to get to know the situation going on in my life, and every other student who's come through their classroom, to understand who they are, where they are, and how that might affect their education. And all I would have to say is thank you on behalf of me, and I could probably speak on behalf of every other graduate. You've prepared us for success. You nurtured us to success, and you continue to follow up with us, which is the best part, that you're invested in our lives, not just for 4 years, but for a lifetime. And I think that's fantastic. And I'm so blessed by that. And I'm so thankful for all of you, and every single extra hour that you've given, every donated pencil, everything that's come from the well-being of your heart, because you care about your students. It is felt, it is received, and it motivates us to be better, and it drives us to be world changers. So you're all a part of making that happen. So thank you.
Wow.
It's hard to
You
follow
were
up on.
definitely go ahead, Mr. Bandera.
It's hard to follow up on Connor. He's like so articulate. He's like perfect. I feel like an idiot in this podcast.
That's how I feel every podcast, right? Come on.
well, you know.
Quantitative, qualitative data. You're very articulate with words, and certainly you would make a phenomenal minister. Obviously your voice is beautiful, and you're just a beautiful person. So at this point, we usually have shout outs that we give. And Connor, I'll let you reflect on it here, because you just shouted out amazing staff. So we're gonna go to Mr. Heim first, because he's like, oh man. We're gonna go to Mr. Heim. Who do you want to give a shout out to this week?
I'm gonna shout out one person, and then that one person is gonna really shine brightly on another person who's not with us, and how well of a job she does, and how much we miss her. Miss Norris, for everything she's done this week to try to fill the shoes of Miss Sprinzel, which we all know can't be done. But Miss Norris is running the head of the front door, trying to handle what Miss Sprinzel always tries to do. And she's really doing a great job this week. So my shout out goes to Miss Norris.
For all of our listeners out there, Miss Sprinzel drove to Florida. She took a vacation for the week. She doesn't follow teacher contracts. She has various days, and so she took it this week. And you're right, Mrs. Norris has been awesome. Mr. Bandera.
So something I started once this month, and I feel like we haven't really had a traditional podcast in a while, was our Black History Person of the Month. So I wanted to at least hit one more before we end the month here. I'll hit that, and I'll have my shout out. So my person is Ruby Bridges. If you don't know the Ruby Bridges story, please make sure you look that up. Ruby Bridges is probably one of the most famous, popular 6-year-olds ever in the world, because she helped desegregate schools by just simply going to school, which is awesome. But she was one of the first African-American students who was able to attend a school that was previously segregated in the South. So look up that story, which would be phenomenal. And I would like to shout out to Coach Morawski and our basketball team, and our swimmers who are currently at states with Coach Parrish and Coach Doc Schneider, and our gymnastics team who is gymnast who's still competing, and our wrestling team. So all those winter sports and athletes, congratulations on the great things you're doing this month, and hopefully we'll have some more championships to celebrate in Chardon.
Connor, anyone you want to give gratitude for, shout outs?
maybe two people who might listen to this podcast, my aunt and uncle, as you all know, our work at the high school, Mr. and Mrs. Avery. They're great people. They've been around my whole life, constantly supporting me and loving me. And having them as a support system as I've been home, kind of disconnected from people, has been really incredible. And they've really stepped up, even as they've been busy, working on getting students back into school full time. I know it's been a difficult thing, but they've still been there for me, even as they've been busy and keeping up with work. And then potentially somebody who won't listen, I would like to give a shout out to my sister, Emma. This is a really hard week for her, I know, because of obvious events. She was in the high school that day, and it's still something that sticks with her and still something she works through on a daily basis. But she's such a strong, incredible individual. She's one of the reasons that I'm pursuing what I'm pursuing, because of her constant support and validation. So I would like to thank her and for her love and her care for me as I've kind of gone through my journey from kindergarten all the way up through being a senior, and then now into college, and as I get ready for graduate school. So
I first want to say that there's something in the genetic code there between the Averys there and you, because there's just such kindness embedded deep into the bones. You guys are amazing. This month I have put together 2 sentences of gratitude every single day, something new. I kind of got that leaned off a little Mr. Mandera, who was tweeting that last year, and I wanted to build off that. And so I've been giving gratitude and really reflecting on that. But in particular, as you mentioned, our teachers, I want to also do the same. But on top of that, I want to encompass all of our graduates. Specifically, yes, I am a graduate. And so just as my wife and I, who graduated from Chardon High School, are impacted this week differently, but I particularly want to really focus on those who were present, directly or indirectly, the students in our building, the graduates, the students in our district, because imagine, being that 6-year-old and learning what is happening, but also our community. We all love our community. And living in here, we are grateful for all the things that they do for us. And it is the ecumenical of all different backgrounds and all different people that shape this community and built this community that we love. And we are grateful for their support. And we're grateful for all of the work that our teachers do every single day to continue to beat on the drum of passion and compassion and love. And for all those graduates out there that are like, do they still think about us? Absolutely. Absolutely. If we could bring back a graduate every single week to talk, we would. But Connor, we appreciate you. You are truly living what we call the 4 E's here. The whole aspect of enrollment into a 4-year school, employment, and as a matter of fact, you're not only looking for a job, you have to go to a job in a few minutes. And you are truly an entrepreneur. And you don't have to sell anything to be that. Your words. I mean, I believe that you could speak in front of thousands and make tons of money that you would then give back to that community for thanking them for having you there speaking. So we appreciate you joining us today. Mr. Bandera, Mr. Heim, any final thoughts?
I got nothing, but it's great to see you, Connor, as always.
good to see you too.
Great to see you. Have a great day, Toppers.
Yeah. Connor, many blessings to you. Any final thoughts before we head out?
Just thank you for having me. It's always good to be home. Like I said, I've been home this whole time, but to feel this reconnection and know that, like you said to all those graduates, you do think about us and you care about us. As I said, it's not a 4-year thing; it's a lifetime thing. You want to see us succeed, and you're always resources for us. So I'm forever thankful for that, and I'm thankful for this opportunity to just talk a little bit and catch up. So thank you.
When this all breaks and it becomes an endemic, we want to see your face and we want to be in the same place. Many blessings to you and your family. We wish them the best. Thanks for coming on today, everybody. Go Toppers.